because the damages caused by.
Jadi satu isu yang
We were locked down for 84 days. Never thought of using it.
SPP ni ialah protection.
I think very immediate and very obvious.
We are basically now number one in Malaysia.
这是一种趋势线上的。
Akan terjadi dengan pandemik yang COVID-19 ni akan.
Hi, welcome back to the post-pandemic recovery dialogue. This pandemic affects everyone in the world. It is a global situation. How would it affect our property developments and property prices? Everyone is concerned about this. And today, we are glad to have two experts in this field. Firstly, Datuk Ho Hon Sang, Chairman of the Real Estate and Housing Developers Association of Selangor Branch, and Mr. Cheah Wing Choong, former COO of IOI Properties in the property investment. So, Datuk, can you tell us how the pandemic has affected the real property development?
Now, the past couple of months has been very, very disruptive, and what YB has mentioned that life and livelihood are affected. Now, almost very apparently during the MCO pandemic period where COVID-19 was at its peak, there were practically very low sales or even zero sales experienced by the property developer because sales gallery not open, road shows couldn't be carried out, exhibition and property fair like zero, couldn't be done. Other than that, not just about sales, the revenue of property developer also derive from construction. If there's construction, there is revenue. If no construction, even with sales, also no revenue. So as such, the revenue of property developers seriously affected because all construction sites were closed during that few particular months. And as such, you would notice that many big developers in town are reporting negative profit for the first half of 2020. So it's actually lucky if property developers manage to register positive or even the slight positive is also considered blessings really to property development. But having said that, these are the problem. But among problem, we find opportunities. Now, during this COVID-19 period, what property developers found is about the way we communicate. Communicate among colleagues, communicate together with the management, and communicate with our buyers. We use digital means. Other than that, we still got to continue to sell. It's not that because of the MCO, we stopped selling. So we go by digital marketing. We go by the normal social media platform like Facebook, Instagram, or the normal, very simple WhatsApp. And we allow purchaser to go for virtual viewing.
We'll talk about it later on in this. I think we need to go in depth. Yes, what about property investment? It is a totally different business from property development because it is a long-term investment. A lot of capital is locked down with the properties, and then you have you don't have any business actually running during the first 2 months of the MCO. Of course, after this we enter into RMCO. You also still have challenges. So Wing Choong.
From the investment side, property investments, which would be like the hotels, the malls, the offices, the golf courses, which we were involved in. It affected us quite seriously because immediately it meant that the malls had to be more or less closed, but hotels had to be closed, etc. And only essential services. And when you say essential services, even in the malls, the F&Bs and the supermarkets were allowed to get on with the business. But whilst we allowed that all to happen, we realized that except for the supermarkets, the F&Bs were actually quite badly hit too. In fact, we had to decide on a rental view as regards to all these tenants, what kind of rentals should we charge them. Because as far as concerned, it's an ongoing tenancy, and technically there is no law which says that you can't charge them rental. But we have to realize that all these tenants are not performing at all. We actually took a position that we gave them free rental. In fact, for the two MCOs, the first MCO, second MCO, we took a position, we gave them free ride, zero rental, except for the supermarkets.
Okay.
The supermarkets, to be frank, they did exceedingly well.
Yes,
All
yes.
right, the supermarket in Puchong Mall and in City Mall, they did exceedingly well. So we had to charge them the rental that was due to us, right? And so we said that in the long run, we want to work with our tenants because they have to carry them through. If they survive, obviously we will do well because our rentals depend on tenants. If there are no tenants, then we have no rentals. But as what Datuk Ho has said, it affected our revenues and in our annual report. Certainly the March period, for us our financial year ends in June. That last quarter and moving forward, the first quarter of this financial year, the investment side, there was impact. You see, like hotels, literally was zilch.
So what are you going to do with your hotel? Now, no one is renting now. Even now, we are talking about local tourism or domestic tourism. But if your hotel is within the city, no one will come to your hotel.
Well, we are fortunate. Fortunate is inverted commas. We had to rely on quarantine business.
Okay.
You know, the quarantine business of 150 ringgit per night. For those who are affected, but you have to pay them, provide 3 meals. So we literally worked on that, but it can cover only a very small fraction of our cost. But it was something to work on, and in a way it was like a service to the industry. We still have to move on, and we have to deal with the private sector, the Malaysian private sector, and that kind of business. We have to keep working on it. There are still corporates that still need to do business, but really, as moving forward, we hope that the public sector, the government side, would come in more strongly to support the industry by, instead of pulling the brakes and try to conserve, really, is to have their conferences, their meetings in the hotels, so that at least from the public side is like supporting the industry, and have meetings in the hotels and so on. That will give a bit of breather to the industry, really, because
but from the perspective of governments, if we hold our meetings in hotels now, then public may accuse us for wasting public funds. So,
well, it's all in the price per pax, isn't it? So the hotels are willing to discuss rates. 5-star hotels, you'll be getting 3-star rates, kind of thing. But that's the situation now, to have the public-private to work together.
Yes.
Now, if you are China, you got 1.5 billion people or whatever, you can push them around,
Yes.
But we are 30 million,
Yeah.
so we need ourselves here to support each other.
Yes.
That's what I would suggest.
Just now you talk about, interestingly, talking about sales online. This is actually a new method of doing a sales. But is it a feasible way, or is it a popular way? It may seem as options for it, but I was told that people are not really interested to go through this VR, because they want to see the real thing, the tangible thing, because they're buying a house, a lifetime. For many of them, this is a lifetime investment on only one properties.
So YB, you are absolutely right. But nevertheless, it is the beginning of the sales journey. So during the MCO period, the salespeople or agent will have to continue to sell. So they sell through digital means. As I say, digital marketing, virtual viewing, micro-site of show units, where it can be very interactive. You can see every corner. It's a real show unit actually, but we firm it and becomes a micro-site. Now, this start the booking. This create the desire to acquire, create the desire first. So then they lead to booking. So once they book, okay, stop there. Then they would, many of them, in fact, I would say 90% of them say, okay, I will decide whether want to proceed from booking to real commitment to buy. When the MCO has been lifted, we want to visit the real show unit. But nevertheless, though that's the case, of course, those who visit the show unit, they're happy with it, they bought. Of course, some also did not buy, but it's okay. At least there is one of the steps being fulfilled in the sales journey. So that's one of them. Apart from that, it's about the outreach, or rather the catchment is bigger. When we go by digital means, more people will be able to view it. Because either you like it or not, even now, you cannot have so many people gather on your sales gallery. There's always a limitation because of the restriction, social distancing, SOP and whatnot, depending on the size of the sales gallery, and that correspondingly, you have that number of people. So in order to reach out to many in the market, the digital means actually is very, very important, very, very helpful. In fact, of course, moving forward, we are looking at how using digital means can have more customer database, and basically CRM, customer relationship management. Then there's a very established software like Salesforce. They can help us to manage the customer very well, because in the future it's about a lot of data about customer, and from this data we analyze, we process, and see how to target that specific audience to be our real customer, convert the prospect into customer. So it's very important moving forward using digital means. Apart from that, the next one, because property is besides sales about construction, this BIM, we call it the Building Information Modeling. I believe many of us also know about this subject. That actually help the construction industry to be more productive, right from the inception, designing a building, because you're using computer means to design, so you can see whatever discrepancy, whatever conflicts in the design, and thereafter you implement accordingly. As for me, I'm looking a little bit beyond, talking about digital construction. It's not too new a terminology, but digital construction.
This is, I believe, is part of the IR 4.0.
Yes, absolutely. How you see, in China, certain part of China, they're using robots to supervise the work, and robot can even identify, hey, this is a defect, that is a defect. So immediately rectification can be carried out. Not only that, we can even extend to management period. Say for example, like very inaccessible part of the building, you can use drone to assess it. Then you have you employ more, or rather you will achieve better results, more productive, more efficient by using lesser manpower.
This is more on the construction side, so constructions, supervisions. In fact, the state government is going to launch, but that is more for the SME industry. State government, because of a financial constraint, will not be able to provide a lot of fund for the upgrading, for the machineries and so on towards IR 4.0. But we are doing our part by providing some support and encourage the SME to engage with this digitalizations of their manpower management. So that part, the cost is not that high, which means you can check on for check-in, check-out, with GPS, you know where your staff are, you know where your workers are, if they are outstation, you know exactly where they are. Whether when they tell you they are going to Penang, then they are not in Johor Bahru instead. So and then you can compute the claim, overtime claim, mileage
tracking
claim,
tracking
system. Then it will process. It can be processed by the computers. Then you can reduce your manpower at the HR departments. So the access of the manpower can be reskilled and even upskilled to do other jobs.
In fact, YB, just to add on what you have mentioned, very soon within this month, REHDA Selangor will have a networking session with FMM Selangor to see how we can collaborate, especially in the era of IR 4.0. Because then you now know maybe some of the SME, they have this technology, they have this financial capital to embark on doing something robotic, easy for us, for the developer and contractor to use in their construction. So we want to have dialogue, so that exchange, mutual beneficial, mutual gain.
Yeah, that is good. That's great. Because you need a kind of collaboration, and you perhaps know the need of each other, and you can complement each other.
Correct.
Yes. I'm very concerned about this property investment because it involves, tourism and so on, in your MIC business. So, besides, as you suggested just now, the support from the government, from the business model aspect, do you think that there can be a new business model?
From the pandemic, one can see that actually this whole electronic media is so important. In fact, it has been clearly seen, not just retail, the office, right? Indeed, the hotel. All right, the hotel has been going on for a while because electronic checking and all that has been going on worldwide. We are linked to the Marriott chain of hotels. You can, and they have already got this going on. So the foreign guests that come in, they don't need actually really to go to the counter, can just walk straight to the room kind of thing.
Oh, this is really good.
Yeah, because they've all checked in before they come in.
Yeah. The privacy is guaranteed.
I think Marriott International, they are very particular about all this privacy stuff. All right, so that's something they have already factored in. In the case of offices, the fact is that tenants now, they may not even consider more office spaces because the staff are all working virtually.
Yes.
All right, and so therefore it poses as an issue as far as offices today are concerned. Do you need physically X square feet of office space, or do you need just an office to accommodate administration, your administration, and the rest of your operations can be at home? But obviously we are landlords. We obviously would like you all to take up more office space, retail space. But the reality is that this is what's happening in the market, and we have to tailor our malls to make sure that our digital networking and telecommunication systems, etc., are up to speed. Because at the end of the day, the consumer still needs to walk into the mall. And Malaysians, we still like the aircon. Right?
And we still want to meet friends.
And so on. So there's still room for it. But the question is that how many percent of each will be taken from each other.
What about property development, Datuk? Would there be new ways of or new business model or new way of tackling your problem now?
As far as property development is concerned, moving forward is still, most likely improve a bit, but certainly not like before, because the damages caused by this COVID-19 pandemic is really, really serious.
You are positive that it will be improved. That is something very positive.
We will be, that should be better with time, because say for example, our second Q, our GDP is negative 17.1.
Yes.
So I believe Q3 should be better than negative 17.1 because it's already so low.
Yeah, I think if you look at the unemployment rate, it has actually reduced from 5.3 to 4.9, and the latest 4.7, which is a good sign. And I always say that even at the peak of 5.3%, it is still low compared to United States or the Europe.
Many countries.
Yes, many countries. We shouldn't be too pessimistic about Malaysia economy, despite the gloom. So. And you are positive that next year will improve.
Certainly be better.
But people are saying that look, the moratorium is going to end by end of September. Would that affect the sales if a lot of people cannot actually proceed with the repayment? Then the houses may be auctions, and that certainly will affect your business.
Yeah, if the government decide everything stopped by 30th of September, then the consequences can be quite serious. But the government already announced that it can be extended until 31st of December. And perhaps it's not across the board on a case-to-case basis, but the chances of getting the extension, I think, is pretty good for each and every other case, especially those who are definitely in financial difficulty. Then, having said that, let's hope that during that period, the economy can recover a bit with more activities, more economic activities being carried out by the government, and with that, slowly, I mean that is the hope that the economy recover, the job market also recover a bit. Then perhaps most likely the situation will be able to match the situation whereby at that time when the total moratorium is over, it can be in a very controlled situation.
I've just said, I think it's imperative for the federal government, indeed obviously subsequently the states, to juggle it's a catch-22, to juggle between closing in order to control the pandemic spread and opening for businesses, because the COVID-19 is anti-business.
Yes.
It's anti-business,
Yes,
it just clashed, right? Because you have social distancing, basically is anti-business. But if you don't allow businesses to continue, right, your jobs will be affected and so on and so forth. Now, how much more can the government pump prime, They gave 250 million, another 250 million. If you keep doing that, obviously, you have to print more money. When you print more money, obviously the ringgit weakens.
Yeah.
Unless your exports goes up more, right? But I mean, we're thankful that our palm oil prices has kind of recovered a bit, but our oil hasn't been as much. Our manufacturing has been improving, but even then, unless you can compensate for that, it would be a tough job, tough point. And at the end of the day, it's back to the man on the street, you and I, whether we can afford to buy a shelter overhead, because that will affect the property industry. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We need to.
Actually, coming back to the business model, someone has proposed an idea that perhaps some of the hotel can be converted into retirement home. All this while, when they talk about retirement home, is about constructions of new building, new facilities. But because of COVID, now some hotels have been put up for sales. And I received one proposal, to actually invest in this hotel, turn it into a retirement home, because you have all the facilities. You have swimming pool, you have restaurant and so on. And perhaps it will create a new lifestyle where the retired group, they can actually stay together with their friends, or with their relatives or siblings or together. Do you think that is possible in hotel industry, for those who actually, especially in the city?
I think conceptually,
yes,
it is not impossible. But I think from the nuts and bolts point of view, I look at it, a hotel. A hotel, 20 square meters, 25 square meters, right? That's what a 3-star hotel should be. A 4 or 5-star maybe 30 square meters. So you say 30 square meters is about 250 to 300 square feet, And a typical hotel room is not even a studio. It's just a bed, and you have nothing to cook on, right? So I'm say the nuts and bolts are the details. If I am an elderly couple, right?
You don't have to cook. Either you have a room service or you go to the restaurant.
But you see, if you are an elderly couple, it may not be so straightforward. I want to cook my favorite fried egg. I don't want the way that is done by the shop. I want it done my way. I want to cook like that. So you still need certain level of cooking facilities, right? So as I said, conceptually, it's all right. But I'm just saying, when it comes down to detail, there need to be modifications, physical modification to the 220 or 25 or 30 square meters, right? Where you need to have a kind of a place for them to do some minor cooking, a pantry or whatever, because it's more than just a bedroom, And that's what a hotel room is. It's just a bedroom. But whereas when you get a couple to stay there, it's a dwelling. Dwelling means what? You've got if the son comes to visit him, you see him in his bed, right? So unless
you can use the hotel lounge, the bar there.
Yeah, but then nothing better than unless, let's say for example, you make it like 2 rooms combined to one, and then you break an access. So one side is like a
suite. It's like
Yeah,
suite.
it's a suite kind of thing.
Yes.
Then I think it's more manageable. That means it's about 400 square feet.
Yes, yes.
So that you have a private room as well as an open area where guests can come in, your children can visit you, etc. I think that'd be fine. And then obviously it's a matter of how much you sell it or how much
we have to be innovative. In fact, you don't have to sell it.
Yeah.
You lease out.
If I may add to Mr. Wing Choong mentioned, I think the retirement homes or home for the aged has been in the business with the business people for easily 10, 15 years already. But you don't see this being built in a big scale in this country. They are one or two small ones. I think the most important hurdle now is the business model. We really don't know what's the business model because in Malaysia, by right, this retirement home should be on a rental basis because one fine day, this old couple will leave the world. And how? There must be somebody, a successor, to take over the areas or whatever. So it's a business model.
I suggest probably go for lease. You can lease for 10 years, or even to 20 years, depends on the age.
YB,
Yeah.
that is right. The word lease is right, but the quantum. Not many Malaysians can afford. If those people who can afford, they would like to leave perhaps the children one house, they leave to the next to it. That is the situation. But all those who need it, they do not have the financial capability. I can tell you, do not want to share which source. In fact, one retirement homes based on some financial model being churned out easily will be about 8 to 10,000 per month in order to make it feasible. So 8 to 10,000 with the current our value of the money and the affordability of people, memang tak boleh. Too high. That is being worked out. Now, perhaps at this juncture, I share with you something which is very established in Taiwan. In Taipei, I visited one. 3 tower blocks amidst a jungle area. And in that area, they create rooms, of course, and they have canteen, big canteen. They have places of worship, be it Christian or Buddhist. Of course, in Taiwan, they are not Muslim. Apart from that, a place for them to mingle around with people, games room, even mahjong room. All this well established, within the development itself. Every day, 5 a.m. in the morning, they call up all those old people and go for exercising. These old people, actually, they are still very capable. Some retired teachers who do not have children, after retirement, they just rent a place there, couple live there, because they want to be in that environment to live. So the concept is different, like, oh, it's actually very old already, nobody want to take care of you, you go there. It's not. But it's all on rental basis. But the Taiwanese, they have the money to spend. So that is the issue.
Datuk, on the property development, would you foresee that in next year, presuming that the RMCO is going to end this year, there'll be more projects to come out or less projects to come out?
While certainly in 2021 should be more projects than 2020, but compared with 2019, I believe it's still a drop compared to 2019 because people, the businessmen are more prudent, more careful now. Not only that, the bank lending is very difficult. I think you know, the getting financing is so difficult. The banker would like to scrutinize your background, your financial position. They're very strict with their terms and conditions. So getting a loan is not easy nowadays. Not only for end financing, to get a loan to buy land is also difficult. So I believe businessmen will be more prudent in their project, and whatever launch they have, probably they will go to a very stress test before they want to push the market. That is my reading of the situation moving into the future.
Presuming that the moratorium will end this September, and if Bank Negara can do something to force the financial institutions to restructure the loan for the house buyers, those who are already on loan, would you think that it will help the property development market?
Oh, certainly. If those who couldn't afford to repay the loan, R&R, which Bank Negara is actually promoting, refinancing and restructuring, that would certainly help so that their financial burden will not be so serious to the extent like, the Asian financial crisis, you cannot loan, tarik balik, everything tarik balik, that's why they have the tanah harta there. If not, then they cannot pay back the bank. So I believe now, because the bank more capitalized, more money, the banking institution is strong. I think financially strong. That's why they can afford this moratorium, and it actually helps a lot. This moratorium, we are better ready compared to 20 over years ago.
Yes. Okay. Wing Choong, do you think the government has done enough to help the property investment? And what do you have to suggest, perhaps to the federal government, especially because they are in the positions to assist, give more incentive or so on to the property investment sector?
I think you have got the supply side from the let's say, for example, just the offices. Obviously, we do know that actually there have had been a bit of oversupply in offices.
Yeah, and coupled with the new trend now, where people work from home, the demand for office space will be reduced, and it poses a lot of questions and pose a lot of problems to you.
You see, I will really look forward to where which not just KL, not just Selangor, but indeed Malaysia, right, becomes a point of attraction for businesses to come and open shops, or open offices in KL, for that matter, or Selangor, PJ. For example, we heard recently TikTok. TikTok is going to open in Singapore, right? And it's going to bring in X hundred number of staff and going to take Y number of square feet. Now, that's what I'm trying to say, right? Right now in the office market, there's a lot of musical chairs, right? Developers they put in X square feet into the market every year, but the cake is not enlarging. So as far as you ask me about what the public side can do, is that really we need to attract more businesses to come into Malaysia, right? Well, Singapore becomes a regional hub now, maybe not an international hub, but we must move in tandem towards that, because until then, if not, we'll always be musical chairs. We'll be taking tenants from each other's office. So that is something which I think very important for us to move out of the paradigm. All right. If let's say KL becomes an attractive point for people to open shop, right? It's not just representative offices. We want regional offices.
Yeah, operations.
Yes, because like if a representative office, they may take only 1,500 square feet. At most, maybe 5,000, 3,500. What we want are the guys who come here, they take the whole regional office here, and they take 50,000 square feet, 100,000 square feet. That's what we want. And when they come, when these big boys come, they will bring along their supports. And that's where the take-up of the spaces can happen. All right, I think
we need to create a whole ecosystem for them.
The whole ecosystem, and it's not just again rentals, because rentals is just one. We always consider that KL, the cost of doing business in KL from a rental perspective is the cheapest in this part of the region.
But yet it's not the most attractive.
Yeah, but because the people, the business side views more than just rental. They look at the whole way that whether they can bring their human resource in seamlessly, right? The whole infrastructure, the telecommunications and so on and so forth, no interruptions, right? And everything is spot on, and we must communicate and convince these big boys that when you come in here, you are spot on, and there's no disruption. And I think the private sector can't do much.
Yes.
You need the government to back that up, to pull it in. And obviously, when it comes to hotels and so on, we want our KL to be a hub for people to come here to MIC, to have meetings here, to have exhibitions here. and we want to promote that. And obviously, that part, the promotion, KL as a hub for the, and we are quite very cheap. As our hotel rooms are so cheap.
Yes.
Compared to Bangkok and Singapore. Yet
It's even cheaper now.
yeah, even cheaper now. But yet they prefer to go to Bangkok. But
Yes.
why? That's where make KL a point, and that's where this whole infrastructural promotion and all that is very, very, very important. All right.
Datuk, we know that the government has introduced this house ownership campaign, HOC, and at the reduced OPR now. Do you think this is the best time to buy a house? And do you think that this HOC should be further extended to next year?
Well, I believe the HOC and or this initiative, HOC 2020, is very appropriate at this moment because HOC 2019 was very successful. So we believe that HOC 2020 will be equally good, but of course whether the extension will be done or not, all depending on the achievement as we move nearer, because it's just started 1st of June. It is until the validity until 31st of May 2021, still many months to go. So
So far, how is the response?
no, so this is registration time only. 1st December. The gazette only happened. The gazetting was done only, I believe, sometime last month only.
Oh, okay.
But
Still
of
early.
course, it's backdated to 1st June. So the gazetting was done sometime last month. So registration in progress. But we know from REHDA position, many developers already submitted for this HOC, this exemption of stamp duty for loan and transport title. So this is a very, very good initiative, and I believe seriously this is a good time for people to buy a property because developers are giving a good package for buyers. Not only that, those properties are also have good concept, good accessibility, good amenities and basic facilities and whatnot. So for those who really can afford it, actually should consider buying a property. And coupled with Maybank, they promote this called Maybank House Key. Maybank House Key is about buying a property that have almost negligible upfront money. So you do not need to commit the purchase now. Maybank bought it first. And upon completion, the buyer if he have not decided to buy, he has to rent the property for 1 year. That's a minimum period, 1 year. And then he will decide whether want to buy or not. If he still undecided, it can be extended another 4 years, and then at 5 years, then only he decide to buy. So all this year, of course, you have to pay rental. So it becomes very easy for people to own, to have a unit, a property by themselves, and with very, very little upfront money. So if during normal times, I believe the bank would not introduce such package. So it is a very opportune time for people to buy properties actually at this moment.
It has been a very meaningful dialogue today, and thank you both of you for your valuable time and your very insightful views on the property development and property investment. And
Thank you.
we have to stay positive, just like Datuk Ho and Wing Choong has told us just now. We face a lot of challenges during this pandemic, and still we have to stay positive. We have to look at the bright side of the post-pandemic period. Face it, embrace it, and move on.